Okay, we're going to try this and do the Ceres overview quick. Real quick rundown of the archetype that she's associated with in mythology, which would be Demeter, Diana, Gaia, the nurturer, the giver of all life, kind of the overseer, the great mother, if you will. Now, trigger warning. Those of you who do not know the story of Demeter, Diana, now Ceres, she is the sister of Hades and Zeus. So in the book, they refer to Hades as Pluto, and Zeus is still Zeus. So her and Persephone Persephone is her daughter, and they have a very, in a healthy term, it'd be a co-dynamic relationship, whereas codependent is kind of the other side of that spectrum, the swinging on the other side of that pendulum. Okay, so Hades, Pluto, decides that he is infatuated with Persephone, and he decides to take it up with Zeus, her other uncle, to see if he can get permission to take her into the underworld. Zeus agrees. They figure out a way to do that, and it is done. And Demeter, Ceres, is now in complete disarray because she has lost her co-pilot when it comes to nurturing, caring for things, her assistant, if you will, the divine partnership that those two share, if you will, is very deep and meaningful because it is bringing life to everything. It's not just giving life to plants and animals, it's giving life to human beings as well. So this partnership is very deep and meaningful. So when that's ripped away from her, she goes into complete devastation mode and quits letting everything grow or be harvested or anything. Everything dies. This is the winter season. This is where we get the idea of 4 seasons from. Remembering these are archetypal characters and that somebody thought these up. These are not actual people. So, as far as we know. So when we're dealing with that, there's a mothering, nurturing, but also protective. She goes full out and protests that I'm not doing anything. Now, there's people who write her in the light of, oh, she was so depressed and couldn't do anything, to the I'm not doing jack diddly squat until you give my daughter back. And Zeus had to bow and, or take pity, whichever you prefer to look at it. And he struck a deal where Persephone would stay in the underworld for so much time out of the year and then be with her mother for the harvest, or the springtime and the harvest. And then it's different reasons. I mean, you can just get lost for all eternity trying to figure out this mythology stuff. There's so many. There's Norse, there's Greek, there's Roman. It's insanity. And sometimes they intertwine, sometimes they have the same names, sometimes they're completely different, sometimes there's different characters thrown in. Nobody has their poop in the group when it comes to mythology. It's kind of the same with today's religion. Really, it is. Nobody has their poop in the group. So it's just sprawled all over the place for different interpretations. And what do you do with that, right? This is exotericism again, not eso. Eso's in, exo's out. So I am going to list off some attributes so you get a better idea of the sort of energy we're dealing with here, and then hopefully we can get into some reads. I'm knocking on wood on this one. I've tried to do this so many times today. Okay. Ceres as a mother is an indicator and a timer of all phases and procreative sexuality. So she rules over pregnancy, birth, miscarriage, abortion, nursing, ovulation, onset of menstruation and menopause, women's gynecological health, birth control. Ceres is the signifier of the various parental relationships: parent-child, child-parent, single parent, mother or father, grandparent, foster, step, adoptive parent, nanny, governess. Ceres is considered with child care and children's education. So prenatal care, childbirth training, children's rights, mother's rights, child abuse, preschools, primary education. Ceres values the family, deep family roots and ties, extended family systems, communities, clanship systems, tribes. Ceres' vocations center around nurturing and helping professions: nursing, social services, childcare and education, midwifery, and hospices. As a goddess of the grain, Ceres is involved with agriculture and growing cycles, cultivation of the land, farming, gardening, ecology, botany, seasons, relation to nature, a green thumb, plants, nurseries, seeds, and harvest. Ceres, as an all-nurturing mother, is an indicator of food and food-related services: farmers, organic gardeners, cooks, bakers, waiters, waitresses, restaurants, co-ops, nutritional counselors, health and healing through food, diet, and herbs, food complexes, overweight, anorexia, bulimia, food-related disorders, and physical health. Ceres has a nurturing concern and sensitivity for animals, animal care and domestication, veterinarians, trainers, breeders, caretakers. Ceres as a worker is involved in labor and productivity, labor workers, labor unions, producers, consumers, commodities, GNP, strikes, unemployment, disability, workers' compensation. Ceres symbolizes the principle of adaptation and survival of the species. Okay, so when we understand how this relates to us, when we're trying to discover what it's like to step into this nurturing role, it doesn't mean that we have to have certain body parts. This means that your natal chart has a Ceres placement, and it's simply how you find a way to fit into this vast array of places in your own life. Okay, so understanding that you're not exempt from this just because you have or lack particular body parts. That's not how this works at all. So this is just going to hopefully in my aspirational goals lead you better through this massive time of transition, and hopefully mother becomes a positive and uplifting word rather than like a one. So getting to that understanding of how this is going to lead you through you better nurturing yourself and better nurturing others, and possibly understanding where those boundaries are for you and saying, no, I know you're asking this of me, but that's not my area of expertise. You're going to have to go find somebody else who's going to mother you in that way, or you're going to have to learn to draw that from your inner space, because oftentimes the way that we nurture others is the wellspring within us that we just need to keep some for ourselves. That's oftentimes how this shows up, is the way that you're able to give to others is also the way that you can give to yourself. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need others in any way, shape, or form to function in the world. We definitely do. And coming to an understanding of how to lovingly, respectfully do that without sabotaging the relationship is going to bring a lot more depth and intimacy into our lives if we understand clearly what our role is and what our role is not. That's the idea behind this whole reading of the goddesses. Okay, so Ceres is going to be the first one we do. I'm going to start with Aries because this is, again, your Ceres placement, not your sun, your rising, or your moon, your Ceres placement. So you're going to have to go to a website. You're going to have to punch in, please show the asteroid and moon placements. I think they usually put it under asteroids and moons. And they'll do that for you. And then you pick out where your Ceres is. Now the sickle is the Ceres, whatchamacallit, the archetype. Or not the archetype, but the symbol for Ceres on the zodiac. And that glyph is way too effing small. So it's like a question mark, but with a cross at the bottom instead of a dot. And I think what I'll do is, so another thing to the psychological themes, I'm going to read through real quick, just so you get a real deep understanding. I don't think I'm going to go this far in depth for the other ones, but Ceres is like the mother of all, so you're going to need to get a well-rounded idea. So the principle of unconditional love and acceptance, nurturing care and concern, self-image, self-worth, self-esteem, love matrix, pathology of loss, rejection, abandonment, grief, suffering, anger, attachment, and aversion, attempting to maintain sole control over children, possessions, or creations. Again, think Ceres from Game of Thrones. That is her other side of the spectrum, if you will, the other side of the pendulum. Principle of sharing and letting go, themes of transformation, birth, death, and renewal cycles, death and dying, hospice work, single parenting and responsibility, relationship with nature and natural earth energies, growth, productivity, work, and efficient functioning, and occult themes, death passage, and blood mysteries. Okay, so I think I'm going to jump in with Aries. I know it's a short video, but I feel like I covered it for you. So the Ceres is the Cancerian moon archetypal energy, that all-encompassing, life-giving thing that we walk around on all day. And understanding how we feed into that, the weaving, if you will, of the plants, animals, energies, and ethos. Okay? I love you. Till next time, keep your flame.